Welcome to Menopause Monday. So today I'm talking about calories in versus calories out and the question around that as far as weight loss goes. I also want to preface this. I think we all have a healthy weight. Being too thin is just as unhealthy as being too fat. This isn't about sort of a thing against body positive. It's body positivity. This is just about going over that sort of eternal dilemma about the calories in have to be less than the calories being burnt up during the course of the day in order for you to lose weight. It's actually not quite right. There is a bigger picture at play. Now, that theory was sort of, over the last decade, it's changed an awful lot. We've become a lot wiser as to how the bacteria in the gut have a massive impact on how our mental health, our overall physical health, our immune system, how the body functions on as a whole. And for instance, if you have an imbalanced, so you've not got the healthiest gut bacteria in your digestive system, the meal that you have tonight will not be metabolized as well as somebody with a healthy gut microbiota. So for instance, you are not going to assimilate your food as well, which means that you're not, whatever you eat tonight, you could hang on to more fat compared to somebody who's got a healthy gut. So that's one thing that is really important to understand, but also how the chemicals that we eat that are in our food also have an impact on our body. They cause our body to go into stress. And whereas when you're counting calories, an avocado and a donut, for instance, avocado is going to have more calories in it than a donut will. But if you eat the donut, it's going to set up a string of chemical reactions that are going to make your body go into a stress response, which is going to make it hang on to fat. Whereas eating the avocado, it's a really healthy fat. Our bodies need healthy fats. It's going to help you burn fat fast. You're going to look, it's part and parcel of a healthy diet. So don't just look at foods as far as their caloric weight goes. It's important to understand what effect that food is going to have on your body. And a donut is full of rubbish. So if it's got, essentially, if it doesn't run around in a field, if it doesn't swim in the sea or a river, if you can't pick it off a bush, if you can't dig it up off the ground, leave it ideally. If you do eat dairy, go organic. It's just a healthier option. Most of us, in actual fact, are slightly dairy intolerant, very dairy intolerant, but you might not know it. So although, when we come into the foods that are going to be beneficial for you, live yogurt is a really good one for helping promote healthy gut bacteria, but have it as part of an overall system. What I'm going to share with you today is very much looking at not one specific thing. You can put weight on by eating too much healthy food. If you just sit and gorge on salads, as well as other food, of course, but you can put weight on by eating too much healthy stuff. So there is a calories in, calories out part of this discussion, but it's only a small aspect of that. So for instance, as we go through our menopause, our estrogen levels decline, that slows down our digestion. It also has a negative impact on the gut flora, or it can do. So what we want to be doing is making sure that we're really supporting our gut health throughout the menopause, so that when estrogen levels drop and our digestion does slow down, you might be getting more constipation, you might be getting more bloating, you might be having a tendency to insulin resistance. Anybody with a big belly is technically showing signs of insulin resistance. So, and it's not something that you have to resign yourself to. It's something that you should be aware of, and that you should be thinking, right, this is an indication that I may have insulin resistance. I'm actually going to take active measures in order to combat that. If you eat healthily already, if you're following all the steps that I share, and you're still struggling, then book in to see an endocrinologist and have a chat about your hormones. I think because hormones are such a sort of complicated, or they have such a complicated relationship with so many different aspects of how our bodies work, I think we have a tendency to think, ooh, no, I'm just not going to even try and understand it because it's too complicated, go and see an endocrinologist who will understand them and be able to explain them to you and be able to take the tests and things that you need to have taken in order to sort of check how your hormones are balancing. Now, I've worked with quite a few people with hypothyroidism, so the thyroid no longer works properly, it's not working effectively. And, you know, with supplementation, healthy lifestyle, they are off their meds. They don't need to take the medications any longer for hypothyroidism. Same with diabetes too, same with various inflammatory disorders, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, lupus, leaky gut. So many of these things are tied into our gut health. And you know, even things like autism and Parkinson's disease now, there are more and more studies pointing to a link between our gut health and problems of the central nervous system in general. So gut health is absolutely vital. A lot of people chat to me and they say, well, I really struggle, you know, my mood is always low through menopause, I feel stressy, I feel anxious. 90% of our serotonin, so one of our feel-good hormones, is created in the gut. A lot of people think it's created up in our brain. It's not, it's in the gut. 50% of dopamine, another of our feel-good hormones, that is created in the gut. So when our gut bacteria are off, it does have a negative impact on how we feel. Also, you might be getting a fuzzy head, you may be constipated, you might be getting the bloating, and that's due possibly to an imbalance of your gut bacteria. And while talking about calories in and calories out, I just also want to mention the whole thing about deprivation. In the past, you know, like, I grew up in the 1980s, and, you know, you look back at films and models and they were so skinny in those days. Deprivation long-term just doesn't work. The body's really clever. The body will survive whatever. So, you know, you may have done a diet, so you've restricted yourself. You've actually gone on a food restrictive diet regimen. And when you start to eat again, the body hangs on to the food that you're eating because it's afraid that you're going to starve it again. So that's possibly explaining why you then put on more weight as a result. So you see this yo-yo going on, but, you know, they lose the weight and then they gain a little bit more than before, and then they lose the weight and then they gain a little bit more than before. And that is largely down to deprivation. So it's about just making smarter choices. It's about crowding out the bad with the good, but remembering not to overeat too much of the good, because otherwise you are going to gain weight. So just bear that in mind. It's also worth noting that we tend to share the same gut bacteria as the people that we live with, or the people that we are interacting with, or the majority of the time. The bacteria, so the bacteria that you share with your pod, as it were, it's an interesting one, because if you are surrounding yourself by people who, you know, if you're surrounding yourself a lot by people who bring your energy down, who may have a toxic impact on your life, just beware that you are both pretty much sharing, because of your proximity to each other, the same set of bacteria. And the way I look at it, I might be completely wrong. I just think I don't want their bacteria. I want to share bacteria with people who are healthy and happy, not with people who might have a negative impact on me. And I think, you know, while you can actually feel somebody's energy, possibly their bacteria is coming into us as well. And that for me is a big put off. If I needed a kick up the bum to make a change, that would be one to really make me make a change. And of course, if they have and I'm going to just show a really interesting study in a minute, if they have a sort of an upset microbiota, so an unhealthy gut bacteria going on, you don't want their unhealthy bacteria upsetting your healthy gut bacteria. Might be a bit extreme, but that's the way I see it. So there was a study done on mice, sterile mice. So there were mice that had been raised in a sterile environment. So actually their guts had no real bacteria in them at all. But there were other mice that were used. One, there was a transplant from a mouse who was lean. They had a gut bacteria transplant from the lean mouse into a sterile mouse, and they had the gut bacteria transplant from an obese mouse into a sterile mouse. The mouse who received the lean transplant stayed lean. The mouse who received the obese transplant turned obese. And they were both having the same amount of stimulation, the same amount of sleep, same amount of water, same amount of food, but how their body actually processed that food made all the difference. So this is why I'm saying to you, depending on what your gut bacteria is like at the moment, what you eat tonight, some people will process it more efficiently than others, and some people will not hang on to the calories or the fat, it's not just fat, is it, the calories from that meal, as well as those who have got a healthy gut microbiota, so they've got a good healthy gut, system. So what can we do to make sure that we are giving our gut bacteria the best chance? Well, firstly, eat lots of vegetables and fruit. Fiber is a prebiotic. And while we have healthy bacteria in our gut, we need to feed those. So the healthy bacteria are called probiotics, and we need to feed those probiotics with prebiotics. And that's why, apart from the natural benefit of lots of vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients, the fiber in fruit and vegetables is incredibly important at feeding our healthy bacteria in our gut. So that in and of itself would make a big, big difference. So if you change nothing, just start having more vegetables than fruit, because fruit's very high in sugar, but fruit's still very good for us. Just go heavier on the veg than you do on the fruit. And then the next thing is probiotics. Now, I started brewing my own kombucha a little while back now, about a year ago, and I haven't noticed an awful lot of difference in myself. But then every day I have adaptogen herbs, I have digestive enzymes, I have prebiotics, and I have probiotics. So I know, and I move my body. I do all the things that I'm going to be sharing with you today to make sure that my gut bacteria is in good condition. But kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut, fermented foods in general are going to be really beneficial for your gut bacteria, and the digestive system responds really, really fast. So if you start to increase your veggies and maybe add also a form of fermented food into your diet every day, you're going to notice a change very soon in possibly your energy levels, in just how you feel in yourself. It might take a while for you to notice any significant difference in weight change, but certainly in how you feel, possibly how you sleep, is going to you're going to notice a big impact. So, and also when I chat to people who, either move into a plant-based diet or they become vegan, they all say, oh gosh, it's just amazing. I just feel so much better in myself. And that's largely down to the serotonin in that we create in our guts. By eating more vegetables and legumes and things like that, we're actually stimulating the lining of the gut more than with things like meat. And that can stimulate the secretion of serotonin too. So that's another reason why it can make us feel a lot happier when we eat, more vegetables and less meat and less dairy, and obviously less processed food. The other benefit of eating lots of vegetables is that it will help your motility. So as our estrogen levels fall, we can tend to get more constipated, which can lead to more bloating. If you're eating a diet high in, and I say diet, I mean food, not just a restricted diet, I mean diet as in food, you're going to have less, you shouldn't have constipation at all. Also keep an eye on what's happening with your stools. So if you've got bits of food coming through, that's a sign that your digestive system might need a bit of a helping hand. So, you don't have to go digging around, just become a bit of a super sleuth at what they look like. They are a really good indicator of your digestive health. And obviously eating more vegetables and drinking more water is going to help that whole system work more effectively. particularly as our falling estrogen levels do slow down the digestive system, slow down the motility. So foodstuffs might be staying in there longer than we actually want them to. Another thing is inside the digestive system, we have these little finger-like things called villi. And when we have gut bacteria that are not so healthy, it shortens the length of those villi, and it means that we can absorb less nutrition from our food. So we want those villi to be nice and long so that we can absorb as much nutrition as possible, which is going to benefit our mental health, our overall health, our immunity, our ability to restore the body and mind. So, you know, it's look the implications on our health with having a healthy gut bacteria are just so profound and so far-reaching on every aspect. That our gut bacteria is literally linked to us on a cellular level in every aspect of our life. So if you've been thinking about making a few healthy changes, let this be the catalyst to start to make those healthy changes. So we've talked about adding more vegetables, more fruit, drink more water. Most of us struggle to drink enough. If you really struggle to drink water, just habit stack. So go to the toilet and then come out and have a large glass of water. Wake up every day with a large glass of water. I either have the juice of half a lemon or live or raw apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is also really good for your gut bacteria. And I have probably 2 teaspoons. Maybe I just do a big glug. It's not too when you have it in a pint, and the raw apple cider vinegar is quite soft as well. Yeah, have that every morning. Make sure you are prioritizing your sleep, because that's when the body gets a chance to restore itself, it heals itself. We all need sleep. I don't know why we do it. I did it last night. I worked really late and didn't sleep very well as a result, and just don't feel so good today. And it's really important that we set some parameters around healthy sleeping. Yeah, on the odd occasion, it doesn't matter. But I think if we're following a healthy lifestyle 80% of the time, and we're prioritizing, it's like I've lost my teeth today, prioritizing our sleep 80% of the time, you're going to feel so much better. But it's also going to help that healthy bacteria in your gut to thrive. We need to manage our stress more. Stress has a massive impact on our overall health. It makes our cortisol levels spike up, which makes us hang on to more belly fat, which makes us become more resistant to insulin, which again makes the belly stick out at the front. So yeah, we really, and also that has a negative impact on our gut bacteria, and will also have an impact as to whether we shed weight or hang on to weight. So the calories in, calories out thing again, you know, if you're eating food, or when you're eating food, you want to be able to be expending that energy so that you have healthy weight management, rather than eating food. And because of the dysbiosis taking place inside your gut, you're not, even though you're doing things to burn up energy, you're not burning the lack of healthy bacteria means that you're not burning off enough energy. And then move the body, ideally 5 times a week. Yes, you do need rest days, but ideally you want to be aiming for 5 times a week, around about 30 minutes a day. We all sit down way more than we should. And even if, you know, even for those of us that do regular exercise, yeah, I've got dogs, so I'm lucky I take the dogs out for a walk as well. But a lot of people don't move, and they don't have dogs. We need to move. So at least if you have a concentrated effort of sort of 30 minutes, 20 minutes at a push, 20 minutes if it's really high intensity, 30 minutes if it's not quite so high intensity. But if you want to have a healthy body, if you're one of these people that says, I can't, no matter what I do, I just can't shift the weight, it's because there's something that you're not doing right. And it could be one of several things. But focus on your gut health, move more, prioritize your sleep, crowd out the bad with the good. Get rid of the cookies, get rid of the crisps, track your food, follow a food diary. It's one of the best things that you can do, because it makes you 100% accountable, and you can't lie about that biscuit that you have every day, that it's over time is going to start to put weight on. That extra chocolate that you have after dinner, over time that starts to put weight on. If you've got a sweet tooth, have like, I don't know, piece of a few berries, because berries are not too high in sugar. They're really high in fiber. They're quite sweet. They might be enough to satisfy your appetite. Or maybe a small amount of Greek yogurt with live bacteria in it. That with maybe a few berries on top can be really helpful, and scatter some cinnamon on top of it as well. Cinnamon powder is a great it's a great blood sugar balancer, but also it can help take away your sugar cravings if you get that sort of need for something sweet after a meal. Try and avoid antibiotics. I know we need them sometimes, and they have a very important role when they are needed. We take way more antibiotics than we actually need to do. Also, the antibiotics that are used often get excreted into the water system, which can get put back into the water system. So we might even be being exposed to antibiotics when we're not actually taking them ourselves. If you do take a course of antibiotics, have some, make sure you're really upping the amount of fermented foods that you have afterwards. Multidofilus, you can actually get that from health food shops in the little sort of capsules. That will help repopulate your gut with healthy bacteria. But antibiotics literally nuke the healthy bacteria in our gut. So if you are on antibiotics, make sure you're eating lots of vegetables, eating your probiotics, and having, supplementing too with extra healthy probiotics, and cut out processed foods. They're just bad for us. We don't need that rubbish. Get good at preparing at home, batch cook if you need to. I think it's so easy to say, oh, I haven't got time, and just reach for the packet off the supermarket shelf. At home, it takes very little time to cook food either. But the benefit is massive. I think we all have to ask ourselves, what is the choice? Do you want to keep sort of feeling unhealthy and being the weight that you don't want to be, and still grabbing the packet off the shelf and still eating the cookies and still not sleeping well? Or do you actually want to make just a few healthy, conscious choices and actually have the life that you want to have and feel the energy that you'll be able to enjoy? Because it makes such a massive difference. I think in our heads, we think, oh God, it's going to take ages to cook my own meal. It's going to take ages to food prep. No, it doesn't. We're all really, really busy. We're all really time short. It's just, we're prioritizing our time probably on healthier things than other people might do. I think, I don't know, it's that forever argument, isn't it? It's what are you prioritizing? But ultimately, if you prioritize your health, if you take the healthy steps in order to lead a healthier life, you are going to have fewer menopausal symptoms. Your gut bacteria is going to be healthier. You'll burn fat faster. You'll burn energy faster, which means you're going to lose weight quicker. And you're just going to feel overall healthier. And it's also worth noting that our gut microbes actually affect our estrogen secretion. So if we've got an unhealthy gut, it's going to make our menopausal symptoms even worse. So yes, some of it is related to our adrenaline, our adrenal glands. Some of our symptoms are related to our gut health. At the end of the day, if we can reduce stress on all levels, nutritional stress, lack of sleep stress, working for a horrible boss stress, toxic relationship stress, not drinking enough water stress, plus look after our gut. So eating veggies, fruit, cutting out processed foods, prioritizing sleep, making sure we, are drinking plenty of water. That is just going to have such a positive impact on every aspect of our life, but also specifically our menopausal symptoms. And just finally, I hear from people who say, oh, but I did all that and then I gained the weight back. Why did they gain the weight back? It's because they didn't follow with the healthy lifestyle. We're in this for the long term. You can't live healthy for 3, 4, 5, 6 months and get all the benefits and then go back to what you were doing before. It doesn't work that way. It has to be a lifestyle change. You have to be committed to it for the long haul. Otherwise, what's the point? You might as well just keep doing what you're doing. Like I said at the beginning, we all have our healthy natural level. So we have our healthy natural weight, and that's probably going to, on the leaner end, you might be 5 pounds lighter. On the slightly heavier end, you might be 5 pounds heavier. But in general, most of us have a default weight that we, you know, are happy to sit at. And that's how it works best for our bodies. Some people are naturally going to be skinnier. Some people will naturally be bigger or heavier, or, you know, have different shaped legs, different shaped arms. You know, it's just the way our genetics make us. But from a microbial point of view, we are only 1% human. The rest of it is bacterial. Bear that in mind. So do not let your genetics be an excuse. When we can get the healthy balance of our bacteria, particularly in our gut, right, you will notice so many improvements in your life on every level. So get rid of those toxic people. Watch who you're sharing your bacteria with, because it does have a big impact. Drink more water, get more sleep, cut out processed foods, eat more vegetables, eat more fruit, eat fermented foods and probiotic foods. And share this with anybody who might need to hear it today. Thanks for joining me.